Hi, welcome to Cymone's Corner. Today I'm going to be talking about what has happened lately with the Love Island reunion and the interview with Ace on the Speedy Mormon channel on YouTube with Speedy Mormon. And I talk about all things that I can think of in the moment while I do my makeup. So go ahead and make sure you like this video, you subscribe to my channel, Cymone's Corner, and that you hit the notification bell so that you can know when I do upload, just because I don't have a consistent schedule. And you know what, I'm gonna upload when I feel like uploading, because with everything that's going on with Love Island, I might have to tap out after this and wash my hands with it. But go ahead, watch me do my makeup, and I will see you guys in the next clip. Bye. Hey y'all, so let's go ahead and get started. I'm not even gonna lie to you, between the reunion and this Ace interview, I am so over it. I mean, more than over it. I'm pretty sure I'm done with Love Island. Hell, Love Island might be done with Love Island at this point, with the claims that Ace made and stuff that they're saying. Who knows if we'll be getting a Love Island season 8. Anyway, let's start with the reunion, breakups, makeups, X, Y, and Z. So breakups, Brian and Amaya, they're over with. Surprise, surprise. Also, I'm gonna be looking here just because this is where my mirror is. I said in my original video that the reason why Amaya won was because of herself. America voted for her to win and not necessarily Brian. They did not win as a couple. And surprise, surprise, they are no longer together. The night before the reunion, they unfollowed each other. 2 days after the reunion, there's the Instagram post. And then honestly, right after they left the villa, Brian did an appearance at a club. He was looking at some girls suggestively, but also he was pouring shots in their mouths and just being a little extra. To be quite honest, never fully believed that he actually liked her. I think he was doing what he needed to do to get the win. Now, whether Amaya liked him, I mean, I would assume so, but that really does not mean too much. She could have, she could not have. Honestly, I don't know, and at this point it doesn't matter because they're not together anymore. However, I will also say that I knew there was trouble in paradise when Nick and Andrea went live after, like, from the Airbnb after they got out of the villa. In those lives that Nick and Alandria did, I don't know if y'all saw it, but Brian was there. He was upstairs and you could hear him here and there come down and talking to them. And they were like, people in the comments, of course, were like seeing Brian and we're like, where's Amaya? Where's Amaya? And they were like, oh, I think she's asleep. What was interesting to me was, of course, on the live, they were talking about going out to eat and getting in and out and da-da-da-da-da. And they were waiting on Brian to come down so they could go. And eventually they ended the live. And Amaya posted the picture of Nick and Andrea in the car with him. But Brian was also awake and also had in and out. Now, it seems like it's nothing, but she was like, I don't mind third wheeling. Third wheeling? I thought Brian was right there. We literally saw him. We did not see you. Well, we saw Brian in that live. So, you're third wheeling. I don't think they was together as soon as they got out the villa. That to me told me everything I needed to know. I don't know if everybody else peeped it, but I did. I did not think that there was going to be too much of a them thing. And the more that Amaya has been out of the villa, like the longer she's out of the villa, the more that I just don't care for her. I'm sorry, I hate to say it. I had some side eyes of her while she was in the villa. I still don't agree with how she treated Shelly when she yelled at her just because of Ace, because let's be honest, that has absolutely nothing to do with Shelly. Shelly was not even coupled up with him. How is she supposed to dictate how Ace wants to move with her? That was just not right. Also, if you can hear that, I apologize. I don't know what my dog is doing. It almost sounds like he's in his cage, but I have zero idea what he's actually doing. He's probably snoring. I'm sorry if you can hear it. Anyway, I see Amaya and I'm just like, ugh. It's interesting how much she talks about Huda still and how they are still really close out of the island in X, Y, and Z, and it's like Huda is perpetuating racism towards Shelly and Alandria. Like, let's call a spade a spade. That is what she's doing, and it's not right. And the fact that even during the reunion, when it was brought up by Alandria that, hey, this is not just like normal hate and bullying, this is blatant racism. They are going up like beyond just bullying. And when Huda was like, I was bullied too, and they showed the clip of them talking about like what Huda was doing in the middle of her crash out and how she was making everybody else uncomfortable. I mean, she admitted it herself. Bullying was probably not the word for it because it was not bullying. Anyway, while all of that was going on, Amaya, look around. Look around. Yeah, no, she was for sure on mute when it came down to, Lord help me, when it came down to speaking up about the racism that the girls were getting on behalf of Huda. But when they showed that clip back, oh, well, that was mean. Oh, you got something to say right now. But also those Facebook posts that were dug up of Amaya. Yeah, we know what you are. We know what you are, and I do not support. Also, clearly, I already have on lashes. I have on the individual clusters, whatever you want to call them. It just is what it is, so I'm going to make it do what it do. Also, I have no idea what look I'm going for today. Actually, I take that back. I kind of have an idea, but I don't because I really don't care. Like, honestly, I'm going to be very honest. With everything that happened yesterday with Ace, I'm done. I'm done. Like, it's so unnecessary. So anyways, let me go back to the subject because also I have no notes. So I'm jumping around. I'm just going off of the dome. So yeah, Amaya, we know what you are. Amaya and Brian are over with. Whatever. Who else? Iris and Pepe. Iris and Pepe are not together anymore. The day of the reunion, we see that they are not following each other. On the reunion, they're like, oh, what are you guys? And they're like, you know, we're dating, but we're not in a relationship. And they said, well, Iris, do you want to be in a relationship? And she said, girl, yes, you would have been better off just saying no. You would have been better off just being like, actually, I don't know that I'm ready for that yet. We can just continue to explore. She was caught off guard by that. Do you even want to be in a relationship question? It was interesting to me. So they are no longer together. There is this girl I follow on TikTok. Her name is Tina. And she talks about how she thought they would just be a summer fling. I'm gonna be very honest, even if they did work out for longer than the summer, I knew that they would not work out for the long term, simply because when she asked her mom, like, what do you think about him? She said, well, you know, I'm picky. Never a good answer to hear from a mom. What do you mean I'm picky? But also, her family gives, they don't like anything that's not, and Pepe, although he may look like spicy mayo, his name is Pepe. Ain't no denying what he is. He's something. I think from that moment, she would have much rather preferred TJ. And also, I will not be surprised if we see them together very soon. But yeah, so couple number 1, couple number 3, and then couple number 4. I mean, Chris and Huda freaking left the villa not together. So, I mean, what is the surprise there? The fact that Huda reached out to him days before the reunion because she saw the hate he was getting, just to try and, I don't know, quash the beef or something, and still never said anything publicly about him, and then went on that horrid podcast and talked about him. You were not sorry. Also, whoever did Huda's makeup and styled her for the reunion, they hate her. They hate her, and dare I say the hairstylist hates her too. I know. The only thing I could think of from the moment she first stepped on the stage was, oh, her makeup artist legitimately hates her. Why was she so oily? Y'all just started filming and she's already oily. They don't like her. They do not like her. The makeup, terrible. The outfit, nigga. Girl, because she is definitely not that. Girl, the strap is hanging off. She made vintage Cavalli look like Fashion Nova. It was not a good look. It was a terrible look. Actually, dare I say, it looked worse than Fashion Nova. It looked like it was straight from Shein. She made Cavalli look like Shein, and it takes some skill to do that. They don't like her. I don't even know if she likes herself at this point. Also, I know there is an elephant in the room, and I'm just going to address it. She spoke about her child not once during that whole reunion. At least not that was in there. And not only did she not speak about her child the entire time. I don't follow her, but from what I can see, from what I have seen rather, it does not look like she has actually visited the child more than once. And I think that is very telling. She was in Europe with Louis. He's a menace. I watched one of his shows for the first time. I watched Perfect Match. Let me get it together. I watched The Perfect Match and saw Louis in one of these shows for the first time. My goodness. He's a terror. He is terrible. So I've seen her with him all over the world. They was in London. They was in LA. They have been multiple places. However, I think it is more telling that her daughter ain't been with him. Which I don't blame her. I don't think that, you know, she should bring her child around strangers. That is not cool. But I also think it's very telling that you're doing all this with a stranger. Netflix says that I can't talk about it. You lie, you never lied so much. What is wrong with you? Why lie about that? You could just say, you know, I'd like to keep that private after living my life in the public. You know, that's something that I'd rather keep private from here on out until, you know, me and anybody that I am dealing with feel comfortable to talk about it in public. It could have been so easy. It could have all been so simple. But she can never be simple. She's always got to make stuff more than complicated. And she don't stand on business. Anyway, she is no longer with Chris. Chris is not messing with her. She is now with Louis from Netflix. And also, clearly, she don't watch Bravo. If she watched Bravo in any housewife shows and watched any reunions, she would have known that getting off to a bad start with Andy is the way to have a terrible reunion. It's literally the quickest way to have the worst reunion. Andy don't play. You thought Andy was gonna play with you? You're sadly mistaken, doll. Talking about I can't talk about it because of Netflix. In Love Island was the #1 streamed show of the summer. I think since 2020, Love Island was like the #1 streamed show since 2020. Like reality show. Oh, Miss Girl. Miss Thing. That was a terrible look. And she is still under the NBC Bravo umbrella. So it's not even like it's a situation where, oh, she can kind of just say and do whatever she wants and no one really cares. No, the network cares because you still have a contract with them. And to just lie like that and lie to Andy and then to make matters worse, she sat there and made a post immediately after the reunion filmed. She made a post talking about some Andy is a Zionist. Even if that is true, you want to bring that up right now? Right now, of all times, right now, when you didn't address the racism that Alandria and Shelly faced, when you didn't address the sexual coercion that you did to Chris. All of that, but you want to go and call Andy a Zionist? I just will say this, I will not be surprised if we never see her on another TV show ever again. I will not be shocked. But that's just me though. Netflix is a little bit dirtier. They may do what they want to do. But just from what I am seeing, I don't think it will ever get that far. Alright. And I know my makeup is looking, I don't know how it's looking. I'm not even looking in the mirror at this point. I'm looking in the viewfinder and that mirror. I know. Mirrors on mirrors on mirrors on mirrors. Anyway. So that's her. I really don't want to give her any more because it deserves less. Anyway, that's her. What else? The other couple from the top 4 that is the only couple that apparently every Islander seems to care about. Nick and Andrea. Their teams are doing their biggest one. When Nick first came out the villa and I saw him wanting to do the Freako Nico DJ thing, I'm like hearing noises and I don't know what it is. Anyway, when Nick first just got out of the villa and he started doing his Freako Nico DJ thing, I was like, his team is genius, because if they went this route and started doing the Pauly D thing, he could be really big. Look how big Pauly D is now. That nigga been touring since the Jersey Shore. If he wanted to do something like that and get some residencies in X, Y, and Z, I think it would be a very smart thing for him to do. He could play at all of the raves, all of the festivals. He could be at Insomnia and EDC and all that kind of stuff. And people would show up because it's Nick. And don't let him bring Alandria there. Also, let's talk about the doll. Alandria has done her biggest one since getting out of the villa. She has that combo with NYX that sells out every time they launch it. Every time they do a restock, it sells out. I have yet to get my hands on it because every time I go to get my hands on it, it's sold out. By the time I even find out that they've done another restock, it's gone. Tens. So she's done that. She went to Greece with Nick and did the Kulani bikinis. And they're beautiful. It looks amazing, that shoot. Then they did the Agua de Kefir, the Freaky Water people. Those shoots been having me clutching my pearls. They're so spicy. Not only that, but, you know, her and Shelly doing the interview with Teen Vogue. And she has had her own stuff with, what was it? Her and Nick did an interview, a podcast with the New York Times. She has been photographed for so many things. It's like she has done so much that it's hard to even go through her resume at this point. And they've been out of the villa, what, a month? And that's why Bees is mad. Nene said it best.
Bling, bling, bling. Bitches is mad.
Because they are mad. They are jealous, and they want what Nicolandria has. What they don't realize is they are not bigger than the program. Nicolandria is bigger than the program. Literally. I mean, they on Shade Room, they on Hollywood Unlocked, they on MF Eater magazine on Twitter. I mean, they are literally everywhere. Coco Gauff inviting her and Shelly to the US Open. Plenty of celebrities talking about them, shouting them out. And it's just like, oh my goodness, they are so big. And clearly the Islanders are jealous of it. And I don't understand why, because let's be very real. We're gonna get there. I have so many thoughts. And I'm trying to calm down because I know that I'm going to get annoyed when I start getting into it. Anyway, Olandria is bigger than the program. She could have been with anyone, and Olandria would still be exactly where she is today. Because Olandria is the secret to the sauce, right? But now that she's with Nick, of course he is going to benefit off of her just as much as she benefits off of him. And it's not a bad thing necessarily, it just is a thing. They are getting to the money together, separate. She has come out in interviews and talked about how his parents are also trying to help her to make sure she is also getting paid handsomely from her deals, so that she is not disrespected when it comes to the money gap between her and anybody that may be her peers, which, let's be very honest, she doesn't have any peers right now. Iris, I think she had like a little partnership with like another smoothie company. I don't know if it was Erewhon or not, but I know she has done that. I know Huda has had some separate opportunities. 3 Dreads, Tic Tac Dreads. He has had an opportunity with Arby's. And I like Arby's. I don't know that I would ever want to be in an app for Arby's. That's just me though. That is just me though. Anyway, you know, they've had some other opportunities, but nobody is getting them like Nick and Olandria. And they are upset. Anyway, they're envious. So, in the reunion, before I get to the whole ace of it all, I'm trying to think, is there anything else from the reunion? Austin, no one cares. Jeremiah, nice to see him. I'm glad he came in and was standing on his own business, willing to apologize, willing to check Huda, willing to have the tough conversations with everyone that he felt like he needed to have those conversations with. I thought that was great. Hannah, sweet baby Hannah, spit start Hannah, she is a sweetheart. It was lovely to see her. Coco, jealous, envious. Again, what's her name went down that entire line. Hey, did I say this to you? Did I say this to you? Did I say this to you? Clearly you're hating. We saw the comments. And I liked how Shelly and Olandria was boop, 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 booping them together. I thought that was very nice that they both had each other's back like that. But Coco, you're irrelevant. They may bring her back for Love Island games, if there's even a Love Island games to be brought back. Especially talking about having America vote. After the allegations Ace just said, even if the allegations that Ace have said are not true, it is still going to have an effect on everything Love Island. Alright, so like I said, it's just sanitizer. Jeremiah stood on big business, spit start, sweet girl. Coco, they was clocking her left and right, loved it. She got checked as she should have. She is so beautiful. She is beautiful. She could have came out, been gracious, talked about her experience and her experience only if she, you know, wanted to even speak about her own experience, and she could have gotten the Jalen treatment. If there's a Love Island Games, I could absolutely see them bringing back Jalen. But Coco messed up her own opportunity, because now, anytime she's going to be back on the show, like I said, I believe that I could see them bringing her back like as a villain. But the way their comments would be out of this world, like even when they tried to do that post about Olandria and Taylor, like I think it was like the day before the reunion, they tore them comments up so bad that they had to delete one post and change another. Olandria has shooters and I just don't think that it is the smartest decision to bring her back, but Coco did that to herself. So I feel bad, but I don't. Better luck next time. Okay, anything else from the reunion? Charlie didn't care. Austin again didn't care. Grayson, go girl, give us nothing. Michelle Clark said, what, 2 words at the reunion? No. And then what else did she say? Thank you. Her dress was very pretty, but like, I didn't want to see her underwear. Girl, why could I see your black underwear in that dress? That was so ugly. Ugh. Anyways, yeah, the reunion could have been an email. It was not that interesting. The dumping scene. Oh, the heart rate challenge. Let's talk about this Ace interview. Okay, let's just go ahead and get into it. So I've talked a little bit about Nick and Andrea, how where they're doing, but I did not talk about what has transpired with the interview that Ace did with Speedy. Okay. Ace, I knew about Ace before Love Island. I would watch his shows with him and Babar and all the other ones, like the Pakistani people that he did his dancing company with, and I thought it was so cute. I thought it was so funny. I thought it was so sweet. I've seen him do it with like disabled adults and disabled children and just kids and single parents, and I saw the joy that he was bringing other people. But what I saw of him in the island, I still tried to have his back, right? Because people were coming out of the villa saying he was not a ringleader, you know? Like, hey, we're grown men, we made our own decisions, blah, blah, blah. And I could absolutely believe that. However, it seems as though Ace has a problem when he's not being the ringleader. He goes on the interview. He does talk about the heart rate challenge. Speedy was like, you know, it seemed like you were enjoying it, X, Y, and Z. And I mean, it definitely seemed like he was enjoying it. Like the way he was happy and hype and X, Y, and Z. Like, no, he definitely enjoyed it. Well, let me not say that. He is saying he didn't enjoy it. We believe all victims, right? I can see how that might have been uncomfortable for him to have Hutta lick him, what do you say, from the gooch to the tip. I can see how that may have been extremely uncomfortable for him. I can 100% see that. I also can see how he may have felt a way that Amaya, like, not that Amaya did anything, but that the producers, sorry. I can understand how he may have felt a way that the producers framed the narrative a certain way. Okay? I completely understand that. I can see that. I can get along with that. Not get along with it, but I can understand it. However, where you lose me is when you blame every negative decision on the producers. Do I believe that production has a little bit of implicit bias? Yes, I do believe that they can have some implicit bias because I've watched Love Island for many seasons now. And I have seen how their bias can affect the way they produce the show. I've seen it. Okay, so I don't dispute that. However, you are also a grown man. Whether you are still young, whether your frontal lobe is fully developed, any of that, you still have the autonomy to make choices. With the heart rate challenge, he could have, during it, spoke up and said that he did not like it. He did not want that stuff. He could have stopped it early, right? He's rubbing on her butt, he's laughing, he's joking. And yeah, we may not have seen that Shelly was consistently, you know, on his head about it because he was wrong. Now, when I saw the full footage and it showed Chris down in between her thighs, I was like, ay, that was close. But it was not the kitty cat, right? Hutta licked straight on it. Like, we watched her tongue make direct contact. We saw it. That was not the best. Anyway, he said he was uncomfortable with that. Okay, problematic, but whatever. Hutta was not fully apologizing. Hutta was doing the Hutta thing. Anyway, that was problematic, but he seemed bothered by it, but he had more smoke for production and Nick than he had for that girl who was stirring racist hate. So, excuse me. I don't know why all of a sudden my nose started running. I'm like, what did I do? I must have done something, right? Because why would my nose be running out of nowhere? Anyway, I'm trying to talk about everything before I get into the Nick and Alandria and Shelly of it all. So what else? He talked about production with his decision to keep Huda. Now he is saying that he did not make that choice himself, and he said there may have been some influences that encouraged him to take it, which basically is saying like, hey, production made me choose Huda over Jalen. And I don't think that was true. You know why I don't think it was true? Because had Jalen stayed, they knew that he knew that Alandria would have still gravitated toward him, still explored him, even though she chose Taylor. Like, that would have been what it was. I don't think that was production doing that. I think he was trying to keep Taylor in the villa, from how I saw it. But that's just me, though. That's how I saw it. Other than that, I mean, whatever. He also said that production was influencing him to to talk about Nick Alandria. He said that production was influencing him to basically tell Taylor to stick with this relationship with Alandria. And although he is saying that, I'm gonna be honest, I don't believe it. Not everything. Now, production may have said some stuff, yeah. However, there are two things that make me think that he was not telling the entire truth about what he is saying production was doing. For one, last year during the season 6 reunion, we saw dang near, which I believe it was the entire dumping of Andrea from the island. We saw it. Like, we physically saw it. Not only did we see it, but we could hear when production would step in. And they were asking for production's influence during that moment. Hey, what do you guys think? What should we do? And you can hear them in the reunion talking about we can't really influence anything. We cannot push anything. We cannot say to do anything. Just give us an answer because we need an answer. Now, we saw that, and at that time, that was a longer clip, right? Like, they showed the dumping of Jeremiah and, what is it called? Hannah. However, they were shorter versions, right? But I can absolutely 100% believe that we pretty much saw everything when it came to their dumping. I don't think that there was much influence from production, just because we have seen how production goes with those dumpings through that one. We saw it last season. We saw that production did not have too much to do with it. Also, again, he was saying that production was influencing Taylor to go ahead and continue pursuing Alandria. I don't believe that's true. They sent in Jalen for Alandria. If they wanted Taylor to stay, they would not have sent a guy to test Alandria's type out. They would not have done that. So I don't think it was that. I think Daddy Ace thought he was big and bad coming up with this plan. He was playing Big Brother while everyone else was playing Love Island, and decided that he wanted the three of them to win, to stay till the end, to do this thing in X, Y, and Z. I think he had it planned out in his head, and I think that's why he stood behind Huda and not Jalen. However, I do believe that production does have influences, but I don't think they made all those choices. Now, I could be wrong. He could be telling the truth, but just from us seeing that dumping last year at the reunion, and also we have seen interviews of Janae, I have seen interviews of Janae. I've seen Leah from last season talking about how production was trying to influence to do certain things, and they were not with it. They just weren't. They did not want to go ahead and participate in everything that they were having them you know, were wanting them to do. Like, production did not want Leah to talk to Miguel. And they're still together today, a whole year later, right? So clearly that did not work out well. What else? Oh, they were talking about when he who shall not be named went ahead and came back from Casa with another girl, and they were like, oh, we should go ahead and you know, Janae was like, I'm leaving. Clearly he's found somebody he wants to be with, so there's no point in me being here. And PPG was like, you know what, if you're leaving, we're all leaving. Like, these guys have done us wrong, we can go. And production was trying to get them to stay, and they were like, no, I don't want to. You know, Janae was like, I'm done, I'm over it. They were trying to have the girls be nicer to the Costa girls that they brought in. Like, we have heard interviews where they're talking about how much production tries to influence them, and they're not always successful. They're not very successful at all because those people are grown. So I don't believe him in that. All right, let's get into the crux, the most popular portion of the interview, and that's him talking about Nicolandria. So it started off with him, Speedy, asking if Nicolandria was real, and he's quiet, and he's laughing, and he doesn't say anything. And then Speedy is like, oh, so you don't think so, da-da-da-da-da. Or Speedy asked that. He also asked, like, are you happy for Nicolandria? And he was like, I'm happy for Landria. And Speedy was like, so you're not happy for Nick? And he had to, like, beat it out of him for him to say, I'm happy for Alandria, I'm happy for Nick, I'm happy for Nicolandria, right? He said that, the last conversation I had with him, he said that he wasn't attracted to her physically. He said the last conversation he had with Nick in the villa was that he did not feel, or Nick told him there was not a romantic spark, that there was a physical spark, but nothing more. And for one, we saw that clip, right? We saw that while watching Love Island at the time where they decided to go back to their original partners before Sierra was booted and before Taylor chose Clark, or I think like right after Taylor chose Clark. We saw that, but we also saw Nick come to him and tell him, I have the flutters. We saw when they left the villa, them at Disneyland, and Nick is kissing Olandria and Ace is in the background jumping up for joy. We also saw at the photo shoot that they did at Ace's studio with Shelly and Ace, or Ace and Olandria are taking pictures together again at Ace's studio, and what's his name is smiling. Ace is smiling and like, yeah, look at our baddies. And you think it was just physical. Sorry, had to give it a moment of silence for the BS that came out of his mouth. That is crazy. First of all, even if you thought that this was not a real relationship, why would you blow up the spot like that? I love Alandria. Alandria is my dog. So if Alandria was your dog, then why would you go ahead and say anything on a public platform like that? That is crazy. Not only that, but even if, first of all, it's a lie. We know that that's a lie, that was the last thing Nick said to you, because we saw the conversation where he was like, you know, we kissed, she was putting her booty on me and I liked it. And like, as friends, you don't just kiss your friends. You know, it's not just physical attraction. Like, I'm getting these flutters when I talk to her. That is more than physical, right? So we know right off the rip, you are lying. And that was what we saw while you were in the villa. So there is no way, because also you have said that you have not been talking to him like that. Nick has said, I have not been talking to Ace like that. So how would you know where they are? Also, if they are scamming, those are some terrible scammers, because you know what? They're constantly saying, we're not in a relationship yet. We're dating, we're seeing how it goes, da 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 da. They're not feeding us a ton of content. What do you think, if they were scamming, they would do better than that? And even if they were, why would you out them? Even if you're no longer friends with Nick, why would you say that about somebody Olandria is with? You know how hurtful that is? And not only does Olandria at that time like you, she was consistently calling Shelly her soul sister. They did the interview together at Teen Vogue. Like, Olandria loves Shelly. If Shelly is your girl, which we're about to touch on that. If Shelly is your girl, why would you talk about her bestie like that? There are only so many people who understand what you guys have gone through throughout your experience at the villa. You know Shelly is very, at least in the public, is at least very open in the public about how much her and Olandria get along and how they're soul sisters, how they love each other, and you know, X, Y, and Z. But you gonna go on this public platform and say that? That is disturbing. And he went on there. He went on that platform and also insinuated that Nick had herpes. For you to say something like that, you hate him. You hate him. Charlie came out of the villa, of course, before Nick. It was like, oh yeah, we were playing American football. I hit him in the head. It is not, you know, what you think. Like, it's not like nothing crazy. It just is, you know, it was an accident. It was my first time playing American football. Understandable, okay. Other Islanders came out and said the same thing, and then Nick came out and was like, no, we were playing football. He hit me in the mouth when I was locking him up, and he busted my lip. So that has been out there. So for you to insinuate that that man had herpes, you hate him. You hate him. And to think that when Ace was promoting this interview, Nick is all in the comments hyping him up, not even knowing that Ace was going to do him like that. It is so sad how envious and how jealous people can be. And I'm not, and Nick is saying all this because he said he feels like people did not support him out of the villa like he felt like they should have. And I'm not going to say he's 100% wrong. However, I will say, I still think it's more envy than anything else. He said that he basically was upset that Nick said that in public, like on Watch What Happens Live, Nick said that, hey, you know, what America voted must have been the greatest, you know, must have been the people who were meant to be in the Final Four. But he said, Ace said in private that Nick did not feel that way. And, excuse me, Ace said that Nick basically was like, I don't really care. Like, I'm over it at this point. And Ace was upset by that. If that was all it took for him to be spewing this amount of disgust towards him, they were never friends to begin with. Anyway, so I think that that is very hurtful. Like, if that is all it took for you to go on a public platform and diss him the way you did, you cannot care. You cannot care for him. And I know people are talking about, well, it is his age, look how young he is. And they're not excusing it. They're just saying, like, hey, look how old he is. The nigga's frontal develop is not fully formed. He cannot think through the consequences of the actions. And you know what? That I can agree with, but it does not make it right. And again, I don't think that it is just that Nick dismissed him on that platform. He said that Nick had also not been standing up for, you know, saying that Ace was not the ringleader, which I don't think that's true. I can understand how he can think that Ace has been joking, or Nick has been joking a lot about it, and you know, he's calling him Daddy Ace and like X, Y, and Z, but I will get into that. He reminds me of my husband, but I'll get into that in a minute. But also, in the interview, he talked about like, oh, I was surprised to get out here and see Nicolandria everything, Nicolandria everywhere. And I think that is really what it is. Because he said that in his interview with Speedy. He also said in his interview with, was it Essence? It may have been NAACP, but I believe it was Essence, where he also talked about how, you know, they were focusing on their relationship while everybody else is trying to ride the wave of the new publicity. And I'm like, first of all, no one had publicity like Nick and Ace. Like, Ace and Shelly may have been like the second biggest couple out of there. But yeah, it was Nick and Alandria, period. That was it. But what I don't think he fully understands is that, for one, Nicolandria started as a crack ship. They had Nicolandria communities. I think it was Down Bad for Nicolandria was either the first or the second, and then Come Here Cream. But both of those have been together since like episode like 2 or something like that. Yeah, so there's nothing too crazy about how those ones came about. Like, they were crack ships. They were not even, I mean, they were real. They were hoped to be realized. And what really made the story like even better was just seeing the progression of the crumbs, right? Like, oh, she's saying, come on, Cream. And she kisses him because she had an interest in him from day one. And he had an interest in her as well when he kissed her with the blindfold on. And they're always picking each other for the challenges. And they became really good friends in the villa. We're seeing little peeks of them playing with each other, doing pillow fights and stuff, and just all of these things slowly come together. And then it's just like, even if you thought that it may have been just physical, clearly there is some kind of connection there because they're also friends. As a married woman, I am friends with my husband. My husband is actually my best friend, but I also think he is the finest man in this world. Right? Like, I think my husband is so incredibly handsome, and I love him, and he is my best friend. I can talk to him pretty much about anything. Like, I love that man down. But isn't that how a relationship is supposed to be? Aren't you supposed to be friends with the person you're also physically attracted to? Ace is hating. Someone said that Ace, Hutta, and Taylor were sadness, envy, and dread. I say, y'all are funny. But I completely agree. I think that in him saying Taylor and Clark are real, just because a relationship is real does not mean it's healthy. Just because a relationship is real does not mean it's healthy. Clock it, right? Like, let's be very honest. I do think that Taylor and Clark's relationship is real, but I don't think it's honest. I don't think it's a great relationship. I think that one or both will be unhappy if they continue to stay in the relationship, and that is just from an outsider looking in. All right, I'm gonna get a little quiet so I can fix these brows. All right, sorry about that. I had to get them together. I don't want them to be like crazy uneven, but also I'm not going anyplace. I mean, I'm going to a place, but like, anyways. So yeah, I don't think that Taylor and Clark's relationship, even if it lasts, it will be healthy. I don't personally believe it. It could be, but I don't see it. I don't. Anyways, so I think that Ace is upset that coming out of the villa, his relationship wasn't the biggest relationship on the show. And then honestly, the press that they get, the attention that they get, it's not really them on their own, but it's consistently combined with Nicolandria. Shelly's is, if Ace has been getting stuff, it has also been in group settings. He has not done anything by himself. When Keke Palmer did the interview with Taylor and Ace, it was also, or Taylor and Nick, Ace was also supposed to be there, but also Landria and Nick are getting solo opportunities as well as their couple. And I feel like not only is Ace jealous, I feel like Taylor is jealous. I feel like Amaya is jealous. I believe so. We know that Brian felt away because he was in what's his name's room talking about some opening everything. He was in Nick's hotel room before the reunion, open up everything, talking about, you got money, you got money. Did he just win the show? And you owe Nick money from the Airbnb? Brokey. That's what it's giving. But there is absolutely no way that you could have said that but still think that Olandria is going to be your friend after, or that Olandria is okay with that, when literally in the interview of that morning that had released from the New York Times of Nick and Olandria was saying, like, when you take shots at Nick, you're taking shots at me. And even though they are new, whether they're a couple or not, you know, they are newer together. Regardless of that, when you take shots at one, you are taking shots at the other, because that is who that person is choosing to be with at that moment. It is naive to think that that is not the case. So even though you are saying, I love Olandria, my dog, you don't think Taylor is? Or you don't think Nick is? Like, coming for him is coming for her. Now, I said that as unparasocially as possible, Nick reminds me of my husband. My husband believes the best in everyone. Even if he may see signs that someone may not have genuine intentions with him, he wants to believe that everybody has the best intentions. So he will ignore it. He will still work on the relationships. He will work on, and by relationships, I mean like friendships or family relationships, X, Y, and Z. He will still pursue them until it is made abundantly clear that that other person does not want it. So I could see, because again, Nick has been consistently talking about how he wants to have a better relationship with Ace. He misses Ace. He misses how their relationship was in the villa now that they're out of the villa. Like, clearly, he has love for the kid. And the fact that Ace is doing this so publicly, and I feel like if he knew, if I'm getting all these names confused. If Nick knew how Ace felt about him, I can guarantee you he would not have been all in those comments and stuff. Look at how he did Sierra. Sierra went so public with her feelings that he did not want to have conversations with her. And he said the reasons why I feel like I'm definitely not going to have a conversation with her is because it appears as though she did this for clout. Everything she did was in the eyes of social media. So why would I need to have a conversation with you? And I feel like it may be the exact same with Ace, because why would he want to have a relationship with Ace moving forward if he did this in public? He is clearly showing he is not someone who prefers things to be in the public spotlight. And I don't blame him. Like, why would you? It is very weird. It is weird. So, I feel for him. I feel for Olandria. Now, could Taylor have done more? Yes. I feel like he should have, not just on his Snapchat, gone out and, you know, denounced the racism. I feel like he should have made it more public. He should have used his white privilege for good. I definitely think Nick could have done more. However, we don't know what's happening behind the scenes, right? If Olandria's team is telling him, hey, don't do this, don't do that, X, Y, and Z, because he cares about her, he may be not doing anything or saying anything. Now, that could be it, that could be not. But guess what? It's not my business. It's not my business. Olandria says it's not our business. So guess what? It's not our business. And what's hurtful in the eyes of me, who is looking at this relationship from the outside, looking in, Shelly was talking about her birthday is going to be a blast. Olandria had to ask on Twitter to even be invited. If that's my soul sister, I would have hoped that I got the invite even sooner. I would have hoped. Anyway, she goes. She is having this fun with her. You know, she is celebrating the birthday with Shelly because she loves her. Olandria clearly loves Shelly. And you mean to tell me that after I just saw you, your man goes like 2-3 days later and records this? It also makes me think, because Speedy came out and was like, oh, what if there are other things that maybe you don't know? Well, if there are other things that we don't know, then why would you not say it? Ace is being very immature with what he is doing. He is being very calculated and, dare I say, manipulative with how he has chosen to speak about these topics. And to me, it doesn't make it right. It does not make it right, like, at all. But also, it just makes me wonder, did Olandria, you know, open up to them about some stuff? Did she? We don't know how much time they actually spent together when they were in New York. We don't know. And even if she had been, you know, talking to Shelly, so Shelly, would you go? And again, this is just me thinking. I am not saying any of this happened, but just in my mind, it's like, sorry, I thought I was getting a call. It's just in my mind, it's like, so what if Olandria had opened up to Shelly? Would Shelly just go and pillow talk and then Ace go and air it out on such a national platform? Is that what happened? And if so, even if that's not what happened, how do you move forward from that? If you're Olandria and your bestie's man just sat here, insinuated your boyfriend, your man has herpes, has insinuated that your relationship is fake, is talking cash money about your man, what do you do? Because I'm gonna tell you, I would be pissed. I would not be moving forward with that friend. I wouldn't do that. Of course, as women, we have friends. I know, let me not speak up for all women. Let me speak for me as a woman. I do have friends who I feel like they may be too good and unequally yoked with their partners, right? Their boyfriends, their husband, their whatevers. You know, I can feel that way. I may feel like, you know what, they are not the best matching in my opinion. I feel like they would be better matched with somebody else, X, Y, and Z. And I am entitled to have that opinion, right? However, if I felt that way and then my husband went on a public platform talking about that person's man, I myself would be upset. I would be just more than upset. It is so, I just am in shock by all of that happening. And it is just so sad to see. I, you know, pray that, you know, although this was terrible, that all it does is just galvanize. I don't even think that's the right word. Hold on. If anything, I just hope that this just, you know, strengthens their relationship. If it's a relationship that, you know, they're meant to be in, God-giving. And I hope that it also does, you know, makes things clear, right? She may have been praying for something and this may have been, oof, sorry. That hurts so badly. Ugh. I was doing this and like it hit my eyelash and it felt like my eyelash kind of went in my eye. Oh, that hurt. Hi. Ugh. Anyway, we gotta get back to it because I have somewhere to be in like, it is 2:12. I have to be like fully dressed and ready by 4. I have time. But you ever feel like you're doing your makeup and you're like, oh, I have time, and you don't have time? That's how I feel. Anyway, I do wonder how it is going to connect you know, how Shelly and Alandria move forward, how Alandria moves forward with Nick, how Alandria moves forward with Ace, how Taylor, I don't care about retreads. I really don't care about him. I don't care for him. I think he is not a great person. I feel like this is not just immaturity, but that there is something even deeper going on that he should definitely unpack with a mental health professional. That's just my opinion.
That's my opinion!
But that's how I feel. I don't care for him, but I would like to see, I'd be interested to see how Nick moves forward with all of these people. Also, shout out to Jeremiah, because Jeremiah was like, if there is a graph chat, I'm not in it. I love Nick and I love Alandria, and I texted them this morning to make sure they're okay. Like, Jeremiah is such a sweetheart. He just gives, like, he's just a sweetheart. He is so supportive. He is so loving. But at the end of the day, I feel like Ace was just envious. He was just jealous. He thought that it would be him and Shelly everywhere, and it wasn't. It was Nicolandria everything. And I feel like maybe he just was a hater, right? Like, he's just a hater. He just is so upset, and he just was looking for a reason. That's how it comes across. It comes across that he was just looking for a reason. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and there is a call. I'm gonna go ahead and finish my makeup, and then I will be back when everything is done. Bye. Alright, you guys, so this is the finished look. I'm not saying it's perfect. It definitely gives like spicy mom, or very much like put me on a bus stop, school district commissioner. Anyway, but yeah, I finished my makeup. I, you know, did my powders, highlighters, eyeliner, lip stuff. Yeah, so I don't know that I really care about the look, but honestly I don't care, because I'm not really going anyplace. I'm going to a place where no one is really gonna see me. Anyway, so that is all I have for you today. Y'all, please let me know y'all thoughts, y'all's comments in the comment section below. Please make sure you like the video. Please make sure you subscribe, and let me know what your thoughts are. Do you think that Ace was in the right? How'd you guys feel about the reunion? Let me know, and I will see you guys later. Bye.